Welcome to today's lesson. In this first tutorial, we will simplify expressions using the distributive property. So in this lesson, we will be using the distributive property and we will be combining like terms. In this tutorial, we are looking specifically at the distributive property. The distributive property is when we have a product or we're multiplying a number to a sum or to a difference. For example, the number 3 is being multiplied to this quantity, this sum of x plus 2. And when that happens, the 3 has to multiply to the first piece, but it also has to multiply to the second piece as well. I like to show two little arrows to remind myself that the 3 is multiplying to both parts, and I encourage you to do that as well. So 3 times x would be 3 times x, and 3 times 2 would be 3 times 2, or rather 6. Let's look at some algebraic situations where we just have some variables. A times b, we can just write it as AB. We don't need parentheses. A times c, we could write it as A times c. If the sum comes first and the number or variable that we're multiplying is second, that's okay. We're just distributing sort of backwards. We're still drawing our two little arrows, and we're still multiplying the A times the B. We could write it as AB or BA, and the A times the C, or CA. If we wanted to throw some numbers in there, we could multiply the 3 to this quantity of 4 plus 2. We're still drawing our arrows to remind ourselves that 3 is multiplying to 4, and that 3 is multiplying to 2. Notice that the plus sign you see in the parentheses is right here in our answer. Or we could go backwards. 2 times the 3, we could write it as 2 times 3 or 3 times 2. And 2 times the 5. Don't forget that you're distributing to both parts of the parentheses. So those are some examples. I'm going to do 3 examples in this tutorial, and I'd like to end with one try for you. So let's see what we've got. We've got 2 times this quantity of x plus 3. Well, here we go. 2 is going to multiply to x to give us 2x. And 2 is going to multiply to 3 to give us 2 times 3. Don't forget that there's a plus sign in the middle. I used a dot this time instead of a parentheses. That's still a good way to show multiplication. And now let's see what we have. 2x will stay 2x. But of course 2 times 3 is 6. So this simplified answer would be 2x plus 6. Let's try example 2. Things look a little bit backwards, but it's still okay. We're still multiplying the 8 to this piece and the 8 to this piece. So 8 times 2, I'll put a little dot, and a minus sign this time, and 8 times n. I like my number to come first and then my variable. 8 times 2, of course, is 16, minus 8n. Simplified. One more example. Let's say we don't really see a number out here. I just see a little negative sign. Well, a little negative sign is really representing a negative 1. So there is still a negative 1 out here, and we're going to multiply that negative 1 to the 2x. So negative 1, I'll put a parenthesis this time. And also the negative 1 to this negative 11. So we've got this negative 1, and we're multiplying to the negative 11. Let's see what happens here. Negative times positive is negative, so negative 2x. But negative times negative is positive, and that's 11. So we can simplify that one. So I've done some examples for you. I'd like for you to pause the video and try one. Pause the video now and do your best with this, and then unpause to see if you got the correct answer. Thanks for pausing. So here we have 5 times 2, which is 10, and 5 times negative 3x, which is negative 15x. So our final answer, 10 minus 15x. Thanks for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you in class to practice distributive property, and I'll see you in our next tutorial. Well, thanks. Bye-bye.